Before we start, let me just quickly run the fan. Umagyana timiran. Umagyana timiran dasya ganan ganan mahapira shakti. Shri Chaitanya Mano with some stuff they told me about the tradition of the Prabhupada and the Vande Nam Shri Guru Shri Tapada Kama Shri Guru Vaishnava Shri Rupa Sarvajam Prasad and Aragamata become some simple. Tam Savadhitam Paridanatai Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padasadana Nabita Shri Vishaka Vikavishri Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandi Jagapati Shado Vidakantan Radha Kanta Namaskita Kanchana Gorangi Radhi Vidavan Shaban Devi Pranamani I feel Vanchanga Pataru Yasrati Vasin Vachan Patikana Papa Nevi Vaishnavi Dunamura Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So where did we stop yesterday?
Verse 8, Prabhu.
Verse 6.17 we stop.
18.
Point
Now 18.
So now we are going to 18.
Yes, 18.
Yes, thank you very much. So we discussed so much about sleeping and eating yesterday. Can somebody tell me what you jot down about our discussion yesterday? Just something. Share with us. Somebody want to share with us quickly? What's you jot down about our discussion yesterday? What do you take home from yesterday's discussion? No one? What is going on here?
Prabhu, we talked about regulated sleeping, eating, and recreation yesterday. You told us that if we practice regulated, and also when it comes to yoga, when you're meditating, the proper position when you're meditating, like you have to sit firmly and look at the tip of your nose and focus and meditate. Also, you told us that when you sit firmly, you become alert. So you're more aware of your surroundings and you're more controlled internally.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Someone want to add anything to it?
Prabhu, we also talk about the yoga ladder, the step by step, first the karma kanda, performing duties and expecting a result by following script. You will become purified. Then the next is the karma kanda, is performing the duties for the pleasure of the Lord. Then after that, gradually you will develop jnana kanda, cultivating by knowledge, by following instructions of scriptures. Then at the end of chapter 6, and now we are on chapter 6 is jnana yoga. Then at the end of this chapter, Lord Krishna will talk about the Bhakti yoga. Krishna.
Which is the topmost of all the yoga system. Thank you very much. Yeah, we talked about sleeping and eating yesterday. I want somebody to talk a little about the eating and sleeping we talk.
Yes, Prabhuji. Like we should not eat more or we should not eat less. We should not sleep more. We should not sleep less. Anything which is either high or low will make us frustrated and push us to the mode of ignorance. And we should control our tongue, control sleep, control food. We need to take only Krishna Prasadam, which is the mode of goodness, obviously, so that it will be helpful to regulate our senses. We also spoke about the abstinence from sex life and how brahmachari practices the celibacy, even in grihastha life. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Pitamba Prabhu, your hands was up, but you were not in the class yesterday. What did you want to tell us?
I was not in class.
So I was surprised when I saw your hand up.
I just want to give a reminder that I was absent yesterday.
Yes, I know you were absent yesterday. Yes. Okay, thank you very much. So let's continue from where we stopped yesterday. So text 18. Yada vinayatam chitam atmani eva vasitate ispira saravaka medyo yukta iti uchate tada. When the yogi, by practice of yoga, discipline is mental activities and becomes situated in transcendence, devoid of all material desires, is said to be well established in yoga. Okay? So it is very, very important to take note of what is mentioned here. Mental discipline is mental activity. That is mental discipline. It's very, very important in every yoga practice. Mental discipline is is the key. Actually, is the most important thing in practicing of yoga. Mental discipline and freeing your mind from material desires. Okay, so let's read from first purpose.
Okay, Prabhu, I read. The activities of the yogi are distinguished from those of an ordinary person by his characteristics, cessation from all kinds of material desires, of which sex is the chief. A perfect yogi is so well disciplined in the activities of the mind that he can no longer be disturbed by any kind of material desire. This perfectional stage can automatically be attained by persons in Krishna consciousness, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 9.4.18 to 20. Sabay manaha Krishna padarabin dayor pakshamse Vaikunta gunano varnane karaw harer mandira marjana diso srutim charat chota sat katodaye mukunda Linggalaya Darsane Resaw Tad Brithya Gatra Sparse nga Sangganam Mam Granamam Chatat pada Sayorja Saryobe Srimat Tulasya Rasanam Tad Aprite Padaw Hare Kritsa Pada No Sarpane Sero Here Kesa Pada Bibin Anane Kanam Chada Shena Tukama Kamiyaya Yato Tamas Loka Janasraya Ratiha. King Ambarisa first of all engaged his mind on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, then one after another. He engaged his words in describing the transcendental qualities of the Lord, his hands in mapping the temple of the Lord, his ears in hearing of the activities of the Lord, his eyes is seeing the transcendental forms of the Lord, his body is touching the bodies of the devotees, his sense of smell is smelling the scent of lotus flowers offered to the Lord, his tongue is tasting the tulasi leaf offered at the lotus feet of the Lord, his legs is going to places of pilgrimage in the temple of the Lord, his head is offering obeisances unto the Lord, and his desires in executing the mission of the Lord. All these transcendental activities are quite befitting a pure devotee. This transcendental stage may be inexpressible subjectively by the followers of the impersonalist path, but it becomes very easy and practical for a person in Krishna consciousness, as it is apparent in the above description of the engagements of Maharaj Ambarisa. Unless the mind is fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord by constant remembrance, such transcendental engagements are not practical. In the devotional service of the Lord, therefore, these prescribed activities are called archana, or engaging all senses in the service of the Lord. The senses and the mind require engagement. Simple abnegation is not practical. Therefore, for people in general, especially those who are not in the renounced order of life, transcendental engagement of the senses and the mind, as described above, is perfect process for transcendental advancement, which is called yukta in the Bhagavad Gita.
Thank you very much.
Krishna. Yeah.
So we can see in the verse, Krishna is talking about Dhyana Yoga. And in the purport, Prabhupada is explaining about Bhakti Yoga. This is to tell you how Krishna conscious Prabhupada is. You see, Prabhupada is Krishna man. He's always thinking of Krishna. Everything for Prabhupada is Bhakti Yoga. You see, in the verse, this is Dhyana Yoga Krishna is describing in this chapter particularly. But if you go through Prabhupada's purport, every purport is Krishna is always, Prabhupada is always connecting it to Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. Because that is what Prabhupada wants to establish in our consciousness. That only by Bhakti Yoga is the easiest process for us to attain perfection in this age. And that is why you see in the beginning of Prabhupada mentioned that in the activity of a yogi are distinguished from those of an ordinary person by its characteristic cessation from all kinds of material desires. So a yogi, an ordinary person, the activity is differentiated by the desire, the kind of desire we have. And Prabhupada mentioned here, of all material desire, sex desire is the chief. So it means that if one wants to really practice yoga, one must, in spiritual life, one must gradually give up sex desire completely. If you really want to make advancements in spiritual life, very, very important. Prabhupada is explaining the purport. And now Prabhupada now quoted a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam describing how Ambarish Maharaj was able to engage all his senses in Krishna consciousness, which is easier to control the mind and material desire than the so-called Dhyana Yoga. Prabhupada is trying to tell us, inform us about that. That Bhakti Yoga is the easiest way of controlling the mind, of engaging the mind. And that is why it is mentioned, every Grihastha should have a deity in their home. Every Grihastha should have a deity in their home. Because then you personally take care of your deity in the morning, you know, you bathe them, you clean the floor, you do this. When you cook, you offer your food to them. So in this way, all your activity will be centered around your deity in the house. You see? And the deities in the house is considered to be like a guest. It's different from like the temple. Like in the temple, we cook what Krishna wants to eat. But in your house, you cook what you want to eat and you offer it to Krishna. That is why it's considered that deities in the house is like a guest in the house. You see? But in the temple, the deity is the king of the temple. Everything in the temple is done for the pleasure of the deity. But in the house, it's a little bit different. Krishna is taken care of in the house like a guest. You don't cook. You cook what you like and you offer it to Krishna. You see? So that is it. So if we have deity in the house, then gradually all our activity will be focused on our deity. Then it's easier for us to offer our food, you know, to think about that, our deity, and it makes devotional service easier. Like Prabhupada described in the purport here. So it's very, very important to take note of that. Very, very important that for us to control our senses, we have to learn how to engage our senses in Krishna's service. Like it's mentioned, Sarvopadi Vinimuktatat Pratirna Rishikena Rishikesha Sevana Bhakti Uchate. When we engage all our senses in the service of the master of the senses, that is what is called Bhakti, devotional service. So that is simply what Prabhupada explained to us in this purport in a nutshell about, because here it is mentioned that For you to be a yogi, when a yogi, by practice of yoga, discipline is mental activity and becomes situated in transcendent, devoid of material desires. So for you to come to the transcendental level we are talking about, for us to come to that level, we must be devoid of material desires. We must mentally discipline our mind. We must have mental discipline. This is the goal. We have to understand this. This is the goal. And how can we achieve that? By trying to connect all our activities to Krishna at home. That is how to discipline our mind and at the same time, gradually purify our desires. You see? So let's go to text 19. Any comment or question? So Krishna continues. Yata dipo nivatasto negate sopamam smita yogino yata chetasya yujato yogamatmanaha. As a lamp in a witness place does not waver, so the transcendentalist whose mind is controlled remain always steady in his meditation on the transcendental self. Very, very nice. A truly Krishna conscious person always absorbed in transcendence, in constant, undisturbed meditation on his worshipable Lord. Is as steady as a lamp in a witness place. We should try to understand. How a lamp in a witness place looks like. You will see the light is burning straight. So until we come to that point, then we have not achieved transcendental position. Krishna is mentioned here, as a lamp in a witness place does not waver, so the transcendentalist whose mind is controlled remain always steady in his meditation on transcendental self. So the mind is focused, completely focused, no distraction in any way. That is the state of a mind of one who have attained transcendence. So Krishna is explaining all these things to Arjuna about you can see everything about yoga is centered around the mind. And that is why we see very soon Arjuna is going to challenge Krishna. You know, verse 20 to 23. Yatro paramate chitam nirodam yoga sevaya yatra chaivatmanatmanam pasyamatmane tusyati sukamatyantikam yata buddhim grayamati driyam vedi yatram na chaivam sitam chalati tattvaha yala dvachaparam ladaman Mayante nadikam tata yasmi stito na dukena guruna pichayate Davidyam dukam samyoga nidiyogam yoga samgitam samjigitam. In the state of perfection called trance or samadhi, one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by practice of yoga. This perfection is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind, and so relish and rejoice in the self. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness, realized through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never depart from the truth. Upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of greatest difficulty. This indeed is actually freedom from all miseries arising from material contacts. This is a very nice description Krishna is giving here about the one who have come to that samadhi, trance. One who is already fixed in devotional service is not disturbed by anything. What Krishna is explaining here. This is the position of one who is fixed. So let us read Prabhupada's purport so that we can discuss more. Okay.
By practice of yoga, one's become gradually detached from material concept. This primary characteristic of yoga principle, and after days, one becomes situated in trance or samadhi, which means that the yogi realized the super soul through transcendental mind and intelligence, without any of the misgiving or identifying the self with the super self. Yoga practice is more or less based on the principles of Patanjali system. Some unauthorized commentators try to identify the individual soul with the super soul, and the monists think this to be liberation, but they do not know understand the real purpose of Patanjali's system of yoga. There is a acceptance of transcendental pleasures in the Patanjali system, but the monists do not accept this transcendental pleasure out of fear of jeopardizing the theory of oneness. The duality of knowledge of knower is not accepted by the non-dualists. But in this verse, transcendental pleasures realized through transcendental senses is accepted and is corroborated by Patanjali Monu, the famous exponent of the yoga system. The great sage declares in his Yoga Sutras 4.34, Purosatra Sanyanam Gunanam Pratiparashava Kaivalyam Saropa Pratistava Siti Sakti. This Siti Sakti or eternal potency is transcendental. Sutra means material religiosity, economic developments, sense gratification, and in the end of the attempt to become one with Supreme. This oneness with the Supreme is called Kivalyam by the monists, but according to Patanjali, this Kavalyam is an eternal or transcendental potency by which the living entity becomes aware of this constitutional position. In the words of Lord Chaitanya, this state of affairs is called Sito Darpana Marganam, or clearance of the impure mirror of the mind. This clearance is actually liberation, or Vaba Maha Davagni Nirvapamam. The theory of nirvana, also preliminary, corresponds with this principle. In the Bhagavatam, Canto 10, 10.6, the so-called Swarupina Vyavastiti. The Bhagavad Gita also confirmed this situation in this verse. After nirvana, or materialization, there is the manifestation of spiritual activities, or devotional service to the Lord, known as Krishna consciousness. In the words of Bhagavatam, Swarupina Vyavastiti is the real life of living entity. Maya or illusion, in the condition of spiritual life contaminated by material infection. Liberation from the material infection does not mean destruction of the original eternal position of living entity. Patanjali also accepts this by his words, Kaivalyam, Sarupina Pratista. Life, this is conferred in the Vedanta Sutra 1.1-12 as Ananda Mayo, Vyasa. This natural transcendental pleasures is ultimate goal of yoga and easily achieved by execution of devotional service, or Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga will be vividly described later beginning in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. In the yoga system, as described in this chapter, there are two kinds of samadhi called Pramajanata Samadhi and Asamprajanata Samadhi. When one becomes situated in transcendental position by various philosophical researches, he is said to have achieved Samprajanata Samadhi. In the Asamprajanata Samadhi, there is no longer any connection with mundane pleasures. For one is then transcendental to all sorts of happiness derived from the senses. When the yogi is once situated in the transcendental position, he is never shaken from it. Unless the yogi is able to reach this position, he is unsuccessful. To this so-called yoga practice, which involve various sense pleasure in contradictory, the yoga indulging in intoxication is a mockery, even though yogis who are attracted by the Siddhis perfections in the process of yoga are not perfectly situated. If yogis are attracted by the products of yoga, then they cannot attain the stage of perfection. As is stated in this verse, person therefore indulging make a show practice of gymnastic. Faith studies should know that the aim of yoga is lost in that way. The best practice of yoga in this age is Krishna consciousness. It is not baffling. A Krishna conscious person is not happy in his occupation. That is not the aspire after any other happiness. There are many impediments, especially in this age of hypocrisy, to practicing Hatha Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Jnana Yoga, but there is no such problem in executing Karma Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. As long as the material body exists, one has to meet the demands of the body, namely eating, sleeping, defending, mating, but a person who is pure bhakti or in Krishna consciousness does not arouse the senses while meeting demands of the body. Rather, he accepts the bare necessities of life, making the best of bad bargain and enjoys transcendental happiness in Krishna consciousness. He is called toward incidental occurrence, such as relative, but he always alert to execute his duty in Krishna consciousness or Bhakti Yoga. Accident never deviate him from duty. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 2.14, Agama Paino Nityas Tams Titik Sama Bharata. He endorsed all such incidental occurrences because he knows that they come and go and do not affect his duties. In this way, he achieved the highest perfection in yoga practice. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. So we can see Prabhupada have explained details about the different kind of, because generally the yoga system people are supposed to be following in the modern day is called Patanjali Yoga. Patanjali is the acharya in that yoga system, but actually they are not truly following him, because the perfection or the end, the goal of the yoga is for you to realize the super soul in the heart, to become peaceful, like Krishna explained in this verse, the stage of samadhi, to come to the stage of samadhi. But we can see in the modern day, people are practicing yoga. Their goal is not to come to samadhi. Their goal is to become physically fit. Their goal is for health reason. Their goal is for their well-being, physical well-being. They don't really understand what is the real essence of yoga, yoga practice of the Patanjali. You see, so that is the goal is lost. That is right from the beginning. So, but by practicing the devotional service, like Prabhupada quoted in the purport, Shito Darpana Marjana, Baba Mahadava Grenir Vapanam. See, just by practicing devotional service of chanting the holy name of Krishna and hearing about Krishna, one can pass through this process of yoga system, in a very systematic way. Because why does a yogi have to sit down, focus the mind, and detach the mind from all activity? Is to purify the mind. To purify the mind, that is it. Why they go to the seclusion, sit down in a place where there will not be distraction and focus your mind on one object until the mind become like very calm, like a lamp in a windless place, and then detach himself from material desire. All these things is to free the mind from material distractions and material desire and sense gratification. But just by practicing devotional service, you can achieve the same result. By trying to chant the Hare Krishna mantra every morning, you sit down in a very, in a yogic posture and try to focus your mind on the holy name of Krishna and Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. For 2 hours in the morning, you sit down, try to detach your mind from every distraction and focus your mind on these holy names of Krishna. The same result you are going to achieve. You see, because gradually, then the mind will become purified. And when the mind becomes purified the Baba Mahadava Nidipapana. One can attain liberation, cessation from the material suffering, which is the same stage Krishna is explaining here in this long verse 20 to 23 to Arjuna, the perfection of yoga. Like Prabhupada explained in the purport, there are 4 goals of life. Who can remind us of that 4 goals of life?
Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha.
Thank you very much. Yeah. This is called the 4 goals of life. Everyone should begin life with Dharma. Means you should be religious. Even though if you are going to work, you should be religious. That is called Dharma. That should be the foundation of your life. Then after being religious, then you come to Artha, economic development. Then you can do your economic development. Then after that, you can go to the level of sense gratification, gratifying your senses based on the scripture, not sinfully, following the scriptural rules. That is why the Dharma is the foundation, because what comes after that, it has to be along with the scriptural rules also. Your economic development will be based on the scripture, your sense gratification will be on the scripture, then that will bring you to the last goal of life, which is moksha, liberation. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu go ahead and says there are 5th goal of life, which is prima puma mrito mahan. That developing love for Krishna is the topmost goal of life. That is the 5th goal of life. So by engaging in bhakti, by engaging in any other yoga system, you can only come to that 4th goal, not the 5th goal. Only by engaging in bhakti, you can come to that pure stage of developing pure love for Krishna. That is the difference between bhakti and other yoga system. Because in other yoga system, there is no process of developing love. Everything is just about meditation, focusing, purifying yourself, then you become pure, and then what? But on the path of bhakti, is more or less of developing love for Krishna. When you cook, go to the market, you think about Krishna in a loving way, select the vegetable, you cook with love, you offer it with love, then you take the prasadam, you bathe the deity, you change the address. Everything about bhakti is about love, different from other yoga system. That is why Chaitanya Prabhu says, developing pure love for Krishna, Krishna Prem, is the 5th goal of life and is the highest of them all. That is what we can achieve in bhakti, not in any other process. You see? So let's continue. Now we go to test 24. Sanischayena yaktavyo yogane brisha nirvina chetasa sankarpa prabhavim karma saktva sarvamasheshata mana saiva indriya gramam vineyam ya samadata. One should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith, and not to be deviated from the path. One should abandon without exception all material desires, born of mental speculation, and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind. Let's read the purport before I talk about this. Very, very nice verse Krishna is telling us here.
Okay, I'll read. The yoga practitioner should be determined and should patiently prosecute the practice without deviation. One should be sure of success at the end and pursue this course with great perseverance, not becoming discouraged if there is any delay in the attainment of success. Success is sure for the rigid practitioner. Regarding Bhakti Yoga, Rupa Goswami says, Utsahan Nischaya Dhairya Tat Tat Karma Pravartanat Sangatyagat Sato Vritte Sadbir Bhakti Prasidhayati. One can execute the process of Bhakti Yoga successfully with full-hearted enthusiasm, perseverance, and determination by following the prescribed duties in the association of devotees and by engaging completely in activities of goodness. Upadeshamrita 3. As for determination, one should follow the example of the sparrow who lost her eggs in the waves of ocean. A sparrow laid her eggs on the shore of the ocean, but the big ocean carried away the eggs on its waves. The sparrow became very upset and asked the ocean to return her eggs. The ocean did not even consider her appeal. So the sparrow decided to dry up the ocean. She began to pick out the water in her small beak, and everyone laughed at her for her impossible determination. The news of her activity spread, and at last Garuda, the gigantic bird carrier of Lord Vishnu, heard it. He became compassionate toward his small sister bird, and so he came to see the sparrow. Garuda was very pleased by the determination of the small sparrow, and he promised to help. Thus, Garuda at once asked the ocean to return her eggs, lest he himself take up the work of the sparrow. The ocean was frightened at this and returned the eggs. Thus, the sparrow became happy by the grace of Garuda. Similarly, the practice of yoga, especially Bhakti Yoga in Krishna consciousness, may appear to be a very difficult job. But if anyone follows the principles with great determination, the Lord will surely help. For God helps those who help themselves. Hare Krishna.
For God help those who help themselves. That is a very nice one. So please, my dear sister and my dear brothers, whenever you think about perfection on the path of bhakti, you should always remember this story of the sparrow. It's a very, very inspiring story. See, for a sparrow to dry the entire ocean, practically it's impossible. Logically, it's impossible. Psychologically, it's impossible. Any angle you look at it, it's impossible. But the sparrow has a very strong determination to achieve this feat. And not only the determination to do that, she started doing that. She was picking the water gradually. It's a possible task. But everybody was laughing at the sparrow. But the news spread all over the universe. And Garuda heard the news. And Garuda is a very gigantic bird. And Garuda came down. And he told the ocean, if you don't give back the sparrow's egg, I will personally dry you up. And the ocean knew that Garuda can do this. Garuda is the carrier of Lord Vishnu. Just by doing like this, it will dry up the ocean. Immediately, the ocean brought back the egg of the sparrow. What this tells us is that when you have a strong determination to achieve a particular thing in life, and you make endeavor, then the Lord will give you support. The Lord will give you mercy. Similarly, when we have strong determination to achieve perfection in the path of bhakti, even though bhakti is a very difficult process, it's not very easy. To give up material desire is not very easy. We all know that by now. To control our senses and our mind is not very easy. We all know that by now. But if we have strong determination to do this, then one day, by the mercy of the Lord, then we achieve success. That is what this purport is telling us. That is what purport is trying to inspire us by telling us this story of the sparrow and the ocean. It's a very, very inspiring story. I always remember this story every time, every now and then, because this story is what has inspired me so much in my spiritual practice. I know by my own efforts, I cannot achieve so much. By my effort, I cannot do so much, but I have strong faith in the holy names of the Lord. I know what my background is. I know where I'm coming from. I'm coming from a very simple background, very low-class family, very low-class background. I know on my own, I cannot purify myself, but I have strong faith in the holy names of the Lord. And I know one day, the Lord will give me his mercy. What I just need to do is to continue to practice and have that strong faith and determination. One day, I will get the mercy. I'm very sure of this. So that is what we need to do. That is the determination we need to have. We should just continue practicing. Difficulties are going to come. Challenges are going to come. But we should not be distraught. We should not be distracted. That is what the purport says at the verse. Let's read the verse again. Somebody should read the verse.
The 6.24.
Yeah, read the verse again.
Okay. 6.24. 6.24 verse. Okay. One should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith and not be deviated from the path. One should abandon, without exception, all material desires, born of material speculation, and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind.
So Krishna is saying we should engage on this path with faith and determination. The only thing we need to give up is our material desires. We are so attached to our material desires. We have to give them up. When we give up our material desire and we try to control our mind and our senses on all sides, surely success will be guaranteed. Because then one day, when we depend on so much on the mercy of the Lord, we shall receive the mercy. You see, that is why Prabhupada gave a very inspiring purpose on this, the story of the sparrow and the ocean. We should always remember these stories in our daily practice of devotional service. It's very, very encouraging. Okay. Any comment or question? Okay, let's continue if there's no question. But I will wish that we always think of questions. We have to think about questions. Then question will come. If you don't think of questions, questions don't come. Okay? Yes. Let's continue. You imagine, okay, if I want to explain this to someone, what do you think the person will ask? This is how you get question. Okay, I have to explain this to someone. So based on that question that comes to your mind, based on how you want to explain it to someone, you ask the question. Then you get more clarification. Then it's easier for you for presentation like that, or practice also like that. So let's continue to 27. Okay. Prashanta manasami edam yogina sukamutamam upaiti shantara jasam brahma putam akamasam. The yogi whose mind is fixed on me verily attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. He is beyond the mode of passion. He realizes his qualitative identity with the Supreme and thus is free from all reaction of past states. See, this is the importance of meditating on Krishna. The purpose.
Prabhuji, I think we need to read
Sorry,
text
Prabhu.
25.
We are 625.
We
Oh,
skipped it.
sorry. We are supposed to be where?
625.
Oh, sorry, I jumped 3 verses. Oh my God, sorry, 2 verses. Oh, sorry. Let's go to 25, sorry. Shanai upamare buddhya trisi giretaya atma samstams mana kritwa na kishid apichi tayet. Gradually, step by step, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence sustained by full conviction. And thus the mind should be fixed on self alone and should think of nothing else. Proper, someone could read.
Okay, I'll read. Purport. By proper conviction and intelligence, one should gradually cease sense activities. This is called pratyahara. The mind being controlled by conviction, meditation, and cessation from the senses should be situated in trance or samadhi. At that time, there is no longer any danger of becoming engaged in the material conception of life. In other words, Although one is involved with matter as long as the material body exists, one should not think about sense gratification. One should think of no pleasure aside from the pleasure of the Supreme Self. This state is easily attained by directly practicing Krishna consciousness. Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
very much. You see, Prabhupada is saying this state is easily attained by practice of Krishna consciousness. So we have the 8 steps in the Bhakti Yoga, which we can equate to all this process that Krishna is explaining here. So this state that Krishna is explaining here is called Ashakti. Ashakti is a very high stage in the path of Bhakti, because in the path of Bhakti, everything starts from Shraddha. Shraddha means faith. Then after Shraddha, the next level is Sadhu Sangha, associating with devotees. Then after Shraddha is called Bhajana Kriya, engaging in devotional service. In the beginning, we develop faith. Then our faith brings us in the association of devotees. And in the association of devotees, we get service to Krishna. That is called Bhajana Kriya. Then after engaging in devotional service, we come to the next stage, which is called Anatta Nivriti. Once we start engaging in devotional service, then all the unwanted things in our heart will start coming up. That is called Anatta Nivriti. We have to give them up. Then, after the stage of Anatta Nivriti, we come to the stage of Nishtha. We become fixed in the path of Bhakti. When we become fixed on the path of Bhakti, then come the next stage, which is called Ruchi. Ruchi means you develop taste in the Bhakti path. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that when you come to the level of Ruchi, even your mind still goes to material activities. But the next stage, which is called Ashakti, attachment to Krishna. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that when you come to that level of Ashakti, even when you want to think of material activity, your mind naturally goes to spiritual activity. Only when you come to this stage of Ashakti that you become safe from Maya. You are safe from Maya, because even when you try to think of Maya, or material things, your mind naturally goes to Krishna because you have become attached to Krishna. You see, this stage is a very high stage on the part of Bhakti. We are all neophytes now. We should not think that, oh, I'm on that stage. No, it's not true. We have not even finished. We have not passed the level of Anatta Nivriti. We are still struggling with all the dirty things in our hearts. You see? So Anatta Nivriti is we are still very far from Ashakti. And Prabhupada mentioned in one of his purports that every devotee should try to come to the level of Ashakti before leaving this body. Because when you come to the level of Ashakti, you become strongly attached to Krishna. Then you are safe from falling down. Then after Ashakti is called Bhava. You develop ecstatic love for Krishna. Then after Bhava, you come to the Prema, which is the pure goal, the highest perfection of life. Pure love of Krishna. So these are the different stages on the path of Bhakti. And if you read this stage that Krishna is discussing here, you will see that it comes to the level of that Ashakti, where one is completely fixed and there's no chance of falling down again. Properly explained in the purport. You see? Because at that time, you become completely fixed in Krishna consciousness. You see? Then you are safe. Unless we come to the level of Ashakti, we are not safe. We can give up Krishna consciousness at any time. So we have to be very careful. See? Let's go to the next stage, the next verse, 26. Yato yato nichalati manas chanchara mastiram tatatato niyam yetar atmani varfasam nayet. From wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. So Krishna is telling us that the nature of the mind is that it's flickering by nature, unsteady. The mind is flickering by nature and is unsteady. That is the natural nature of the mind. Just as the natural nature of fire is heat. When you put your hand, it will burn you. The natural nature of sugar is sweetness. So the natural nature of the mind is flickering, unsteady, always moving here and there. You see? So we have to bring our mind always under control, as Krishna is telling us here. Okay? So let us read the purport. Someone want to read?
Okay. The nature of the mind is flickering and unsteady, but a self-realized yogi has to control the mind. The mind should not control him. One who controls the mind and therefore the senses as well. It's called Goswami or Swami. And one who is controlled by the mind, it's called Gudasa or the servant of the senses. A Goswami knows the standard of sense happiness. In transcendental sense happiness, the senses are engaged in the service of Rishikesha or the supreme owner of the senses. Krishna. Serving Krishna with purified senses is called Krishna consciousness. That is the way of the bringing the senses under full control. What is more, that is the highest perfection of yoga practice. Hare Krishna.
So we should understand what we are dealing with here. We are dealing with our mind. And what is the nature of the mind? Flickering and unsteady by nature. When you say something is one's nature, it means that that thing cannot be separated from that person. See? So our mind is flickering by nature and is unsteady. That is why our major work in this world, our major duty in this world is to always learn to control our mind. That is our major duty. The main duty, if we want to be happy in this life, is to always learn to control our mind. You see? And that is why one who has done this, control his mind, is called a Goswami. That is why the sciences are called Goswami or Swami. It's not that they are master of anybody. It means that they are master of their senses. And some of us who are still struggling with our senses, we are called Godas, servant of our senses. So we have to again and again try to come to that level of becoming Goswami, that is master of our senses. And master of the senses means always controlling our senses. The proper mention here, and that can be done only by engaging in Krishna consciousness. Engaging our senses in the service of Rishikesha, the master of the senses. Krishna is called Rishikesha, the master of the senses. So by engaging our senses in the service of the master of the senses, our senses can easily become controlled. So that is why all the devotional activities we are doing is to purify our senses. You know, taking Krishna prasadam, worshiping the deities, cleaning the temples, planning for Krishna. All these things is to purify our mind and our senses. That is the essence of all these things. So that our mind and senses can only work to please Krishna. Only then we are safe. If our mind is not controlled, our senses are not controlled, we are always in danger at any moment in this world. Okay. So I will leave it at that. We continue from 27 next week. So anyone, last comment, we have 4 minutes because we are going till late, so we always want to stop at the right time. 4 minutes, any comments or questions, then we can deal with that. I'm sorry I'm not using my computer because my computer cable is, is spoiled. I need to get another one. So I will wait for the end of the month, then I will see how I can get another one. Any comments or question? Mother Angel, you want to ask question? Say it out.
Prabhu is not related in this verse.
Yeah, you can ask from anywhere. I'm happy to hear the question.
Yeah, what verse is that? The verse chapter 5, verse like what verse is that? The verse that Prabhu that just try to learn the truth by approaching his spiritual master and render service unto him.
Chapter 4, 434.
Yeah, Prabhu, I just want to ask if regarding to the spiritual master guru, there's something like that. If like us, neophytes, how can I approach guru or spiritual master even we are not like initiated yet? It's allowed, Prabhu.
Very good. So I'm
Sorry.
very happy that you are asking this question. I'm very happy you're asking this question. So next year, not next year, after the end of Kartik, we are going to start ISKCON Disciple Course, because now we know that we can have class from 8 to 9 also. Okay? So we will have Bhagavad Gita, and those who are interested in ISKCON Disciple Course can join from 8 to 9. Okay? So in that ISKCON Disciple Course, you will learn about this question you are asking. You know, it will be very clear for you. I have the syllabus with me. I have all the material with me. I have the PowerPoint with me. So we are going to start after the topic. Okay?
Okay, Prabhu.
So now we are going to make poster for that. We're going to make poster for that and we will advertise it. We are going to start after Kartik. So those who want to join can join from 8 to 9 o'clock.
How much is the charge, Prabhuji?
Charge. I will discuss with Mother. I will discuss with Mother Indra. Then we'll get back to you. We will put it on the poster. Okay? Thank you for asking that question, Mother Shire.
We can join, right? Also?
Yes, you can join. Yeah, you can join. Because guru-disciple relationship is a continual, ongoing learning process. You have to learn it again and again and again.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
So we will start after Kartik. So we will make arrangements and we will share the poster with you all. Hare Krishna. And also we will make a Google link where people can register those who are interested.
Gauranga.
Yeah.
Miss Amanda.
So thank you very much. It's time up.
Kripasidam evacha patitanam pavanavya vaishnavyo namo namaha. Ananta
See you
kunti
on
vaishnav
Monday.
ki
Hare
jai.
Krishna. Thank you. Have a nice weekend.
See you on Monday.
Krishna.
Bye.
See you.